This video is about to get very surgical.
Everybody a thug till them lights pull up, and everybody got a gun until ICE pull up. A middle finger to the president, cause I ain't too impressed. How the fuck you kicking niggas out? Ain't you niggas guess, so it's death to...
So I'm watching this J.Cole interview yesterday, right? And of course, he addressed the apology. He addressed a lot of different things involving the battle. You feel what I'm saying? He addressed the fall off, a lot of different stuff. But there was one thing that I noticed throughout the whole thing. There was one underlying matter that never disappeared. Anytime he decided to address the beef, anytime he decided to address his feelings about the situation, anytime he decided to break down why he did this and why he did that, any of that, there was always one underlying issue. And that was Port Antonio. Every single time that J. Cole had a narrative that at least sounded like it made sense and wasn't him just trying to save face or create a new narrative, right? I would instantly think Port Antonio. Like, damn, that does sound good. But then I think about Port Antonio. And that's why I feel like we might not ever get a situation where J. Cole actually addresses Port Antonio. We might never get J. Cole addressing Port Antonio. Now, let me make something clear. I'm not saying that J. Cole has to address Port Antonio. I'm not saying he has to, because in reality, you're an artist. If you want to leave that up for interpretation to the people, then do so. That's your right as an artist, and you have the right to do whatever you want as an artist. As a matter of fact, being this far in the game, I just wouldn't get on the internet. Just stay in your world and do what you do. You feel what I'm saying? If these internet narratives are getting to you, as J. Cole said in the interview. But if you're going to do an interview addressing all of these other songs, addressing all of these other situations, addressing, bruh, and I'm not saying this to make fun of it, but bro, J. Cole quite literally was talking about how his wife was crying when she found out that he was going to apologize. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if anything, that shows that she loves, she cares about him. She's there for him. And I think that's a testament to how powerful their relationship is, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? If my person is that invested in what I got going on and that invested in me being able to relieve that stress and that unease from my mind, my spirit, and my body, and she's crying because of that, that's a beautiful woman to have on your team. So commence to J. Cole in that aspect. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is if you are able to address something as personal as that, which I hope you asked your wife if you could do that, why not address Port Antonio? That's just crazy to me. Is Port Antonio more personal to address than that? Is Port Antonio more personal to address than the fact that you couldn't sleep because you called Kendrick's catalog bad? Because you said he had a bad catalog, you couldn't sleep? Is that more personal than that? Why is there such a shying away from addressing Port Antonio? Now, I got this clip right here because I want y'all to take what I say, listen to what J. Cole is saying, and you tell me that Port Antonio nips all of this in the bud. Check this out.
And then, so you're on the stage at Dreamville Fest, and I always wondered what was going through your mind in the 5 seconds before you made the apology, the 5 minutes, the 5 hours before. Was it something that you had really thought of and planned? No. Or did you get on the stage and felt like, I need to do this?
No, it hit me an hour before.
Okay.
But before that, I was stressing the fuck out but in the moment that the idea came to me, like via God, it's like, oh man, I lifted and I got
and
and I got excited. I got so excited because
what's crazy? I get what he's saying right here. This is why J. Cole is interesting to me, because I understand what he's saying right here when you're getting pulled into the direction by, your alignment, something trying to align you on a certain course. I understand that. I get that. I understand acting within your authenticity and then acting outside of your authenticity, how that takes you off the path, which in my perspective is when you're on that line of authenticity consistently, you're living heaven on earth, i.e. Jesus. He was always on that line of authenticity regardless of what he was facing. So he was experiencing heaven on earth constantly. So I understand what J. Cole is talking about here. That makes sense to me. Okay? My thing is when you start saying, hold on, what do you say right here?
Oh man, I lifted and I got light and I got excited.
What I wonder is, did you get lifted and excited because of that? Or did you get lifted and excited because with this apology, you would no longer have to deal with the pressure of living up to everything you've been talking about for years? That's what I wonder. Did you get lifted and excited because it's like, oh, I can do this, I can do that? Or was it because now the pressure would be off of you, right, to live up to this standard that you set in hip hop by consistently talking about you'll cut a rapper's head off, you'll kill your favorite rappers, sending sneak disses at Kendrick Lamar, sending sneak disses at all these other guys? Did you actually feel relieved because now you wouldn't have to step up to that plate? There's a difference. There's a difference. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what I'm curious about. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know exactly what J. Cole, boom, none of that, but I'm just using some of my context clues that's coming to my perspective. Was it that, though? Because I bet you were relieved that you didn't have to deal with Kendrick Lamar in that rap battle. When the whole legacy of you being the best in this generation was on the line. And instead, you got to say, no, I don't want to do the battle. Go ahead and take your best shot. So that some people would say you got hit, but they would be like, well, he didn't fight back. We all know he didn't want to fight back. So he kind of bullying. Boom. It doesn't take away from your greatest of the generation case. Because just like everybody's doing now, well, he could have won if he wanted to. That's what I'm curious about.
I got so excited because, you know, to tell you that 2 or 3 days before that, it was like, oh my, nah, this is terrible, because I felt like I misrepresented myself. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden I'm giving life to division and to negative storylines or negative perceptions on somebody that I fuck with.
Nasty. And I'm gonna tell you why that's nasty. Okay? What he says right here, I can rock with.
You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden I'm giving, nah, this is terrible, because I felt like I misrepresented myself.
Right there, I understand, right? I misrepresented myself. My problem is when you say I misrepresented myself, it feels like you're trying to say it as if you're above battling, you're above all these different things. In my opinion, when you say you misrepresented yourself, maybe that's just what you said. Maybe you just knew you was bullshitting. And you're one of those guys where you can't just make up a lie in a battle and run with it. Look, I'm the same way. When I'm in a battle, I'm not going to come up with some fake stuff to say about somebody in order to get my raps across. I'm not going to do that because that shows an inability to be creative in my angle. I don't do that. So I get what he's saying in that perspective. What I wonder is, did you really mean you misrepresented yourself by saying Kendrick Lamar's catalog is trash, knowing that you think it's fire? That's different than I'm above all this. You see what I'm saying? But don't worry, we ain't even get to the Port Antonio aspect of this. But we gonna break down every piece of this.
Perceptions on somebody that I fuck with.
Oh yeah, in this part, it's a battle. What are you talking about? What do you think a battle is, Mr. Hip Hop, Mr. Muhammad Ali? What do you think a battle is, bro? That's the point. A battle is you're supposed to take calculated angles. Well, everybody doesn't do angles. But one of the things that you do in battles is take angles at your opponent and break them down. The funny thing is you didn't have to break down his catalog in order to do that. You could have just been more creative. But in reality, you're probably just not that. You're not a battle rapper. But you pretend like you are. That's the problem. You're not somebody who can get into these back and forths and handle this type of pressure and handle the type of pressure of having to deal with what somebody got to say about you. That takes a different level of skin. That's why I respect battle rappers in general, bro. You got to go in there with your shit and you don't even know what that person gonna say. And you got to let them say it. There's levels to this. You're not built for that. So I don't understand why J. Cole consistently raps as if he is. and then does this shit. You feel what I'm saying? It's just confusing. But that's what a battle was supposed to be, brother. And you didn't say nothing crazy. You said his catalog sucked. Big whoop-de-doo, bro. Like,
negative perceptions on somebody that I fuck with and got love for. You know what I mean? Somebody that I like care about. And it's like, oh shit. In my mind, of course, I mean, I could take you back to, we know why that happened in the first place,
Right.
but just to answer your question, that shit had me feeling terrible. Cause I'm like, oh my God, like this.
we know why that happened in the first place. What you trying to say? Like, say it.
We know why that happened in the first place,
Right.
but just to
Like, are you insinuating that you only did that because Kendrick dissed first? Like, what are you trying to say there?
answer your question, that shit had me feeling
First.
terrible. Cause I'm like, oh my God, like this shit is nasty. This shit don't feel right. And of course, leading up to it, it made, when I was doing it, it made sense. Actually, I can't really say it made sense, but in a moment where I wasn't clear, like we were just talking about, I chose to do something that didn't align. It's like putting on the fucking outfit, the Versace sweater or whatever. In a moment where I wasn't clear, I chose to go this way for reasons that I could tell you about. But all you need to know right now is like, yo, I felt miserable about it. Like,
What? That's what I'm saying. Like, what are you waiting to tell people for? For a song? I thought you were supposed to do that on a fall off. But anyway, I understand this part, right? You're not clear in your perspective. You're not clear in the correct mindset to make a certain decision that would benefit your natural existence or your natural essence. I get that. I'm not against that, and I'm actually in support of that, which is why when he ended up apologizing, I didn't really get on J. Cole too heavy, because I'm like, if this is who you are, then so be it. I do think it's whack as fuck that you talk all this crazy and then when the battle pop up, you all of a sudden realize, oh, this is not what I do. Like, I get that part, but bruh, you all this other, I get it. I respect it. But let's continue.
fucking outfit, the Versace sweater or whatever. In a moment where I wasn't clear, I chose to go this way for reasons that I could tell you about. But all you need to know right now is like, yo, I felt miserable about it. Like literally, like my whole demeanor, my whole shit, my wife could tell. And so I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go on this stage and like come out here and pretend. Almost like people think that I'm represented. Mike Delete Later had just dropped. It's the biggest news. Not saying Mike Delete Later is, but just the drama of all of this is the biggest news happening. And I'm coming out as a representative of what the fuck they just heard. It's like, nah. So an hour before, it was like, aha. Like,
So look, aren't y'all noticing that everything that he's saying gets debunked by Port Antonio? And we ain't even got to that part yet. I'm gonna finish all of this, but just think about all the things that he's saying right now. How it sounds beautiful. If we lived in an alternative universe where Port Antonio doesn't exist, this is actually a great ass part of this interview. It's great. And I would love it. But then I think about Port Antonio, and we're gonna break that down.
just the drama of all of this is the biggest.
And then my thing is, I get it if your demeanor is damn, like boom, boom. But I wonder, are you being completely honest about why your demeanor was that way? Because, and we're going to get to it later to make it all connect, but what I'm saying is, your demeanor could have very well been that because you knew you didn't drop a quality diss track. You knew that you thought maybe I can do this. And when you started writing, you realized, damn. Or maybe you did believe in that song. But once the people got it and they was like, you realize, damn, maybe I'm not. Maybe this confirms everything that I felt about where I stand between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. And I'm only using J. Cole's music to come to this stance. I'm only using the things that he has said to come to this stance. So I question if it's all your demeanor was just bad because you said his album sucked.
Or it was like, aha. Like, yo, in a very loud manner, you know, on a very public forum on your album, you said some shit you didn't believe in. Now you got the opportunity to go on a bigger forum, you know what I mean, a bigger stage is being live stream and say something that you believe in.
I respect
and
that.
in that moment, I'm like, oh, thank you, God. Like, told my wife, she the only one I told. I ain't telling nobody else. I was like, yo, this what I'm about to go do. She start crying because she know how I feel about him. You know what I mean? Like, she knows, and she saw how it was weighing on me the 2-3 days before that. She could see in my whole energy, and she would even ask me, and I'm just like, yo, I got a lot going on right now. Like, so.
Now, this is my thing, man. Okay? I 100% understand what he's saying. Once I understand what he's trying to get across here. My fault for the camera thing. I understand what he's trying to get across here. Okay? I'm not mad at this message.
Dude, she start crying. I don't even. Now you got the opportunity to go on the
like doing something, because that's like, you know, these are things that are connected to, like, you know, civilizations of the past and shamans and all that different stuff, where, you know, a breakdown creates a breakthrough, right? In order to have a breakthrough, you have to first have a breakdown so that you can recognize where you went wrong, how you can make the adjustment and ascend into the higher purpose of you, right? It pushes you further to the higher version of you if you accept the lesson, okay? If you deny the lesson, you go right back into that energy, which we're about to get to. But based on what he's saying, not based on my interpretations fully, I'm basing off what he's saying, right? He understands that in that moment of Might Delete Later, where he decided to put that out into the world, he was granted a new opportunity to do something different, okay, in order to get back into his alignment. This is according to his perspective. I understand that. But once again, guess what debunks this? Port Antonio. And we're going to get to it.
A bigger forum, you know what I mean, a bigger stage is being live stream and say something that you believe in. And in that moment, I'm like, oh, thank you, God. Like, told my wife, she the only one I told. I ain't telling nobody else. I was like, yo, this what I'm about to go do. She start crying because she know how I feel about him. You know what I mean? Like, she knows, and she saw how it was weighing on me the 2-3 days before that. She could see in my whole energy, and she would even ask me, and I'm just like, yeah, I got a lot going on right now. Like, so when I go and do it, I felt even better than I felt knowing I was gonna do it. I felt like, if you'd have seen me that night, man, mind you, the demeanor of everybody around me.
I was just gonna say.
Like, damn, nigga, like my man Barry from since the 80s, you know, he Earth Gang, signed Earth Gang, and yeah.
He'll always keep it real with you.
100%, that's my nigga. Like, but he just sitting there like, he like, you a good dude, man. But he's almost disgusted about it. Like, he's almost like.
My thing is, like, are you a good dude? Like, what about that makes you a good guy? That's one thing I'm confused about. Like, all these narratives out there and all this shit, what about that makes you a good guy? You feel what I'm saying? And I'm not a person who dictates good or bad or all of that. Good and evil and all that, whatever. I just know what I believe in versus what somebody else believes in. If I don't believe what they believe in, then I don't agree. All the good and evil, good and bad and shit, it's whatever. I don't know about all that. What I do understand is there's a clearly a way that J. Cole is trying to create this perception as if he's the good guy in the situation by denouncing the battle and denouncing the beef. And nobody did anything to you, man. There's a difference between a battle and beef. If you didn't have no real energy with Kendrick, just like you've been saying this whole motherfucking interview, if you ain't have no real problem with Kendrick, then what was the problem, nigga? Did you call him a bitch? Did you say he was, you feel what I'm saying? Did you say he was a bad father? Did you say that his, you know what I'm saying? Like, did you mention his wife? Like, did you mention somebody that died? Like, you didn't do nothing crazy, bro. You just said that he had a bad catalog and he fell off. But these are things that I think you really believed as well, a part of it. Maybe not the catalog part, but a part of you was like, damn, they giving this more love than it deserves. Or maybe you was like, damn, you really only made your career off controversies. I think you really believe that. That's just my perception, though. But that's what I wonder is, why does this make you a good guy? I don't like that. I don't like that this makes you a good guy because you backed out of a battle. Get out of here.
You almost heard about it. And if you would have saw me, I'm just like, bro, like I feel amazing because now the world knows how I really actually feel.
Yo, but this is what is
right. So imagine if you would have just left it at that. Imagine if you would have just did the apology and got the fuck out of there. I remember when Not Like Us dropped. And Family Matters and Meet the Grams dropped. What was everybody saying? I ain't gonna lie. Hey, I'm not even mad at J.Cole for backing out no more. He still can't have that title of being the best of this generation, but I'm not even mad at J.Cole for backing. Look at how crazy this shit went. That's what a lot of people were saying. But guess what you had to do anyway? Drop Port Antonio, and we about to get to that.
mind-blowing to me, right? The reaction that everybody had, and we'll talk more like later, especially now a couple years removed, people are still excited for the fall off. It's like shocking that that even happened, the place where we're at now. But I'm amazed that you felt so good after doing that.
Man, I felt
You looked
amazing.
around and you're like, I don't care how upset y'all.
I'm not amazed at all. I bet you did feel good not having to deal with Kendrick Lamar after he popped up out of nowhere and broke records with 116 bar verse. That he created another control moment and directly confronted you. After you've been indirectly confronting him. And that's the thing. That's one thing I respect about battle rappers too, right? Battle rap is about direct confrontation. You can't be on the internet and colluding behind the scenes to get all these people on your side before you start to attack like a pussy, right? You can't do none of that. You gotta go and see this person in person, have 3 rounds, deal with what they gotta say, and deal with that in that moment. You gotta rely on your ability in that moment. You can't collude behind the scenes and tell all these people, look, and do all this. You can't do that. That's pussy shit. If you really do this, you can do it directly, direct confrontation. And it won't take you colluding and connecting with all these different people to make sure that they're on your side. And y'all know who I'm talking about. You get out there and you make it happen. And you get busy. And I think that part probably made J. Cole a little uncomfortable. Because now you got to back up all that shit you talking about. But how are you supposed to do that when a nigga who just dropped and came at you on a #1 hit, you don't have the ability to drop that #1 hit to combat that? Considering the fact that First Person Shooter, if I'm not mistaken, was J. Cole's first #1 hit. Let me know if that's true or not. So what are you supposed to do? You got to rap your ass off. And unfortunately, you did not do that. And everyone recognized it. So not only was your response weak, the attack was strong. So now, you walking around with if this is Fortnite, you walking around with no armor. You shoot at the nigga, you miss every shot. And now you got to reload, and he got a whole new clip. Hell yeah, it feel good to get the fuck out of there.
Fuck, I was so light and because I knew at the end of the day, he heard me and the world heard me. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, if I never say another word on this again, like y'all see where I stand. And it's like, yo, in my mind, I made a wrong or right in the best way that I could. Yo, you did wrong. You were in the wrong.
Okay. I want y'all to listen to this last part, and then we're going to talk about Port Antonio.
If I never say another word on this again, like y'all see where I stand.
Oh. If I never say a word on this again, y'all see where I stand. Now imagine if you actually stood by that. Imagine if you never said a word again. But guess what you did? You dropped Port Antonio. So all that talk about, if I never say a word again, y'all see where I stand. No, because Port Antonio, you had to go correct the legacy aspect of it. You correcting the legacy aspect of it was more important than you being realigned. Clearly. Because the way people got on you, right? The apology, people getting on you for the apology was one thing, okay? And that would have blew over. People would have let it go. As a matter of fact, they were letting it go during the battle. But when you come back out and try to explain yourself to correct the legacy part, all of this shit that you talking about is null and void. It's over with. You would have lost the battle. You would have lost the bro. You throwing both of them under the bus. You not making it clear who you talking about with bots. So you making it seem like you the lone person there. You talk about Drake being your nigga. Not saying that about Kendrick. Right? Outside of my friends went to war and walk away with all their blood on me. All the different things that you said in the song. Kendrick said, and not like us. They cold foul. I don't know how you still pretending. And you responded to that by saying, don't you lie on me, my nigga, to start another war. And Drake, you'll always be my nigga. I ain't ashamed to say you did a lot for me, my nigga, which is insinuating that Kendrick might be ashamed to say that Drake did a lot for him, which I think is cap. Right? Drake did for Kendrick the same thing he did for all these other niggas. Waited until they got popping, waited until they was having a moment, and then said, hey, let me get involved in this. Facts. Because Kendrick was already cooking. He had already went on tour with Tech Nine. A$AP Rocky already cooking. Migos already cooking. As a matter of fact, Migos, that's not even a Migos shit. That's Soulja Boy shit. Soulja Boy is the original Versace. Soulja Boy did Versace first. The Migos went and did it too. And then Drake went and did that shit. Where is Black Boy? Where's the dude that made Going Up on a Tuesday? Where are these niggas at? The Weeknd already doing what he was doing. It's why he wrote half of that nigga album. I don't want to hear none of that. So even insinuating I ain't ashamed to say you did a lot for me is saying Kendrick is insinuating Kendrick is ashamed to do a lot. So all of this shit you talking about, I got all this love for Kendrick, I got all this love for Drake. Nigga, you just shot at Drake on Golden Goose. What I think is going on here is J.Cole is trying to put the victim narrative out there as much as possible before them niggas start bombing on him. My thing is, why not just be ready? Why not just have a clip? That's my thing. Why not just have a clip for when, if you think niggas about to bomb on you, why don't you got a clip? Especially as Muhammad Ali. It's a few battle rappers in the culture that I feel like want to battle me, but ain't really trying to do it yet. I'm clipped up in battle rap. You should be clipped up if you think they coming for you. He know Drake about to bomb on him most likely. Get clipped up. But getting on the interview and trying to paint it this way where it's like, hey, oh, I don't know if I want to, I love those guys. No, man. Port Antonio, you threw niggas under the bus. You try to make it seem like Kendrick was doing what Drake was doing. Right? You tried to paint both of them, which I think is true for, in some part for Drake. But you're trying to paint both of them as doing this just for clicks, just for money, just for blood. Distorting the audience, distorting the narrative, distorting the perception of the battle. Distorting the actual agenda of what Kendrick Lamar and company are doing. Amplifying bot narratives to where they are now, to where now people are trying to push Kendrick as this UMG, Lucian Grain slave that Drake actually is, which you mentioned on Golden Goose right before you did this interview. So Port Antonio debunks everything J. Cole's talking about because it sounds good and I love it. What I think really happened, maybe J. Cole wasn't trying to be malicious. What I think really happened was J. Cole got realigned, right? He realized this is not the type of rapper that I am. I'm not a battle rapping ass nigga. I'm not going to get busy like that. So he took back the song. I think that is what, and I think he realized that because of the audience reaction. If the audience is going crazy, I promise you J. Cole don't feel this way. And I can't prove that for sure, but I'm willing to bet anything. I think that's where that comes from. But then when you go up there and apologize and get back realigned, as you're saying, why undo that work just to correct the legacy narrative? Why? And I know the answer, because you're a human being. That's the real answer, because you're a human being. But my thing is, why keep going on with this act and just building more potential trouble? Because if niggas come outside and start bombing on you, you gonna have to rap. Or you gonna look crazy. So I feel like Cole got aligned and it got unaligned. And now it just feel like the fall off, the golden goal and all different stuff. It's like, bro, like, and this is all based on what he's saying. He said it himself. Y'all know where I stand if I never say nothing about this again. And then you drop Port Antonio and said something about it again, and now it's hard for us to tell where you stand again. What does that tell you? Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new here, especially if you've been here. Also, I got the Patreon going. I got people subscribed to the Patreon. I appreciate everybody that subscribed to the Patreon. Thank you very much. Content is going to be dropping early morning tomorrow, and it will be a Sunday video. You feel what I'm saying? Sunday video dropping tomorrow on the Patreon. We about to get into a rollout of, y'all know how, my whole thing with Jay-Z. I never really got to connect with Jay-Z fully, so I'm about to be listening to Jay-Z albums again. You feel what I'm saying? As an adult, and seeing if I connect with them again. That will be on Patreon as well, amongst a whole bunch of different stuff. So I'll put the Patreon in the card right here so you can click it. I'll also put it in the description so you can click on it. And shout out to everybody that's been streaming and downloading F-Ice. I appreciate you. Make sure if you haven't heard it, just give it your time of the day, bro. I'm gonna keep promoting this song. I got different forms of content coming for promotion as well, but I'm gonna keep promoting this song. You might as well just click on it. It's 3 minutes and 30 seconds. 90% of the people that play it love it. I understand if it don't go with your ideology and all that. Check it out and see if you have a different perspective after playing the song. You feel me? But I appreciate y'all, man. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new here, especially if you've been here. I'm gonna catch y'all.